next guest is Ella Davies, a Senior Financial Planner with Lift Financial. Ella's going to join me on stage for a live Q&A about Lift's use of time tracking and task management. Ella, welcome to Advice Tech Live.
Hi, Heather. Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming. Could you just take a minute to introduce yourself and Lift Financial and talk a little bit about how you're using time tracking and task management in your business?
Yeah, sure. So I'm one of the chartered financial planners at Lift Financial. I've been there for about 10, maybe 11 years now. We provide full holistic, independent financial advice, and the last few years, with the help of some key people, we've got a little bit more tech savvy and been using Intelligent Office as our back office system. One of the main things that we use it for is for task management and time recording. So we work quite similarly to other professions, so lawyers, solicitors, that kind of thing, in that we log our chargeable time. IO, or Intelligent Office, its full name, is really useful for that. They have a timesheet, a weekly timesheet that we complete. And we do have set hours that we need to record, and of that we need to have recorded sets of chargeable time versus non-chargeable. But in terms of the functionality of it, you can either record it directly on the timesheet itself, which is something I personally use because quite often we're multitasking, we're here, there and everywhere. Even though I'm generally just sat in this one place at the moment, I am mentally here, there and everywhere, doing lots of little bits of things. So I tend to sort of record chunks of time throughout the day. But there is another functionality where you open up a client file and a timer effectively opens when you go into that client file. And then once you've finished doing that task or that particular piece of work, you can log that time. And it's really useful because you can put in a description of what you've been doing. You can select a particular time recording category. So you can say it was a client meeting, it was a review meeting, a catch-up call, whether it's research, admin, whatever it might be. And it basically calculates, how much chargeable time that particular task took and what it was you were doing on that particular client file. So we've got a lot of data from it. We also use Task Manager within IO as well to basically build service cases and then just track the process from start to finish. Those particular tasks can then be assigned throughout different members of the team, and just to make sure the right person's doing the right work at the right time. So we've always got an audit trail then in terms of the notes as well that can be added onto the Task Manager. So yeah, it's an integral part of our daily work, really.
That's great, and I think it's what you said at the beginning about that this is standard for what's being used at most professional services business is absolutely right, and so yes, and I'm hearing from more and more advice firms who are adopting this. We use Clockify, which is a free app that people can use for time tracking in our business, but having it integrated with the back office system is obviously better. Ours can integrate with Xero, which we use for invoicing, and it can create a lot of efficiencies. But I think your point about making sure the right person is doing the job is really, really important, and that discipline that it forces on everybody, because we can all say, oh, it's just easier, I'll just get it done in the 2 minutes. But actually, if you're billing the client for that time, it's really important that the right person in the business is doing it. So I think there's some clear business benefits I can see in terms of MI and making sure that the work is distributed to the right people, and also for advancement of people within the business to be able to learn new things. I think that one of the things I was really interested in hearing about too is the client benefit, because that's something that you and I have talked about, some of the benefits that you see for the client from this approach.
Yeah, so for the client, it's quite simple, really. It's transparency. If we ever we're very clear on fees anyway. We prefer to always be transparent, as you know from our previous discussions. But we can literally click a button if a client queries our fee. If they say, well, where's all this time charging come from? What is it that you're actually doing? We can literally click a button and say, well, here we go. This department was doing this work on this day. This is what the time charges were. This is some of the things like the compliance and all the extra additional things that clients don't necessarily see or feel or understand are part of the process. But they can then see exactly all the work that we have to do to provide this level of service. So it is really, really useful from that perspective. It helps us be very transparent, and it also helps with conversations about fees as well. So from a client perspective as well as a business perspective, we can have very open conversations with clients and say, look, we are actually doing too much work for you in comparison to the retained fee that you pay us, or vice versa. There are occasions where I've reduced fees because it turns out that the client is actually very light touch and we don't really do a huge amount for them other than their standard review. So we've said, look, we're not really doing the additional work that we could do for you. Let's look at this area of your planning as well. It will be covered by your retainer fee, etc., etc. But if we flip that from a business point of view, we can say, well, actually, we're running at a bit of a loss here. This is all the extra work that we have done for you over the last couple of years. We are quite often, we are down on our time charging. I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where we're charging out for every minute. It's very difficult to do that. But we aim for that. But yeah, we're always working at a little bit of a loss. We have to write off some time. But from a business perspective, it's useful to see where that time needs to be written off from, and also, having these conversations about fees with clients, and it just makes everything so much more transparent and easier. In terms of the relationship, it takes that issue out of the equation completely. Just focus on what we do, which is providing a service and financial advice.
Yeah, great. We've had a couple of questions come through the chat, but I'll have to send them after as an email. So I'll follow up with the people who've asked questions with Ella, because we've got to move on to our next session. But that was really, really helpful. Thank you, Ella. And I spoke to an advisor a few weeks ago who said that the client had queried the fees, but when he showed the time tracking of everything that they'd done over the year, actually the client decided to give a bonus to the firm. So it can really change the nature of that conversation. So thanks so much for that, Ella. I really appreciate that.
Useful. It is really useful, and as I said, it keeps everything above board. It's transparency. At the end of the day, we're providing a service that isn't necessarily tangible. It's not something that you can go and pick off the shelf and buy. It's a professional service, so everything that goes on behind the scenes is quite difficult for us to quantify. But with that amount, with that data, it makes it great. A good open conversation to have.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much for joining us today.